Michelle Obama, I understand people are afraid of Michelle Obama, but I think people also have to understand that the Democrat field is running away from the Obamas right now, and there's a reason for that. They're running away from them because Barack Obama was not far left enough for them. There's a reason why you're hearing, I believe it was de Blasio criticize Obama. There's a reason why you're hearing that. It's because a lot of young activists, especially with Obama's recently woke comments, feel that Obama was not up to the standard that they should have had. He was not pushing enough severe gun restrictions or immigration restrictions. So Michelle Obama will carry the legacy of her husband, and that will not help her in the youth area.
What I love about talking to you is you educate me.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Hello, American patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code DOUG for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues. You need to get off your ass and you need to work for it. Nobody's going to give you shit. Nobody's going to give you a handout. All right? That's how our parents taught us. And we knew that when we go through high school, we want good grades and we want to stay on the good side of the law and we want to go to college. And in the meantime, we're going to have to get a job. Our parents aren't going to give a shit, okay? You're going to buy your own car, you're going to buy your own insurance, you're going to buy your own gas, all right? And then those jobs are minimum wage jobs. They're just a stepping stone to where you're going to be one day when you get out of college and actually get a career in something, whether you went in the military or what have you.
That's not true.
That's how we were raised.
Most people working a minimum wage job are adults. They are not high school kids.
Then they're a failure.
Excuse me?
If you're an adult that doesn't have anything else going on for you but working in McDonald's, then somewhere along the line you made a mistake, because the jobs are available, the schooling is available, especially if you're a minority. Especially.
All I have to say is I think you need to have more compassion for fellow Americans.
I have more compassion than you could ever. 4 combat tours helping get those that are oppressed freed.
What about veterans working minimum wage jobs right now?
Where?
Did they not work hard enough?
Where's a veteran? I'm a 100% disabled veteran, by the way, with PTSD after serving 4 combat tours. I can assure you there's no veterans out there making minimum wage. And if they are, they failed through the system because the VA didn't help them, and the VA didn't help them because the government failed them, and the government failed them because the VA system is broke. I love that interview. Mahgdalen Rose. Hello, young lady. How are you?
I'm good. Actually, it's Mahgdalen Rose. My mom wanted me to tell you that. Mahgdalen Rose.
I have not slept in 48 hours. I'm very, very sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Tired. And I'll probably get to sleep at about 2 a.m. If I'm lucky, because I'll be heading down to New Orleans tonight for a conference tomorrow. And then I got to continue on down to Florida for some stuff I'm going to be doing down there as we get ready for Veterans Day. And then hopefully first part of next week, I'll be back home and continue to start this all over again. What did you think of that interview with with us in Politicon? Did you get a chance to watch all those?
I did. And what I thought was interesting was that the kid that seemed like he was the youngest, the one with the dark hair that was poofed up, he was the one that seemed to be the most open to discussion. Whereas the older the person got in that situation, the more diehard they were. And I think that's because the younger kid with the dark hair, he's more my generation, which is Generation Z. And that whack job who was yelling and trying to grab the mic, he's more of a millennial. And millennials grew up really obsessed with Obama. My generation grew up skeptical and gaming and very aware of the housing crisis. So it's my generation that matters now, because millennials are sort of a foregone conclusion because of how diehard they are. And that's one of the main takeaways, was you could see the slight generational divide in how they were talking to you. The other two were embarrassed by the older guy.
Oh yeah, towards the end, they were just like almost unfriending him.
Yes,
as it was unfolding.
Yes.
It was very difficult to, what I have to do is I have to be able to communicate facts with all the different generations. When I'm somewhere in an event and I'm talking to people that are my age and older, there's one way of doing that. And then when I'm talking to younger generation, my kids' age and so forth, that's, another way. And I hope that I bridged the gap fairly decently when we were down there. The feedback I received from the videos were great. We even received feedback from one of the gentlemen that was in that interview saying that, hey, thank you, for talking to us and, helping us understand that, there are other things to consider and look at. And when you say socialist, that was one of the biggest things I believe that they couldn't grasp, was that they don't want to compare Bernie Sanders, for instance, or Kamala Harris or Cory Booker or Pocahontas or any of those as the socialists that we've seen in history. They want to show them as something totally different. And it's hard to get them to grasp that, no, it's all the same. And we've watched it fail everywhere drastically.
It is difficult. And I think one of the things is that Bernie has, in a very specific way, melded in really populist tendencies with how he riles people up and socialist economic policies. What these kids want, and I heard one kid say that he liked what Trump had done with NATO, they want a populist president. The issue that they're having is that the Republican Party is the leadership very attached to having no restrictions on free market, no restrictions on anything. So it looks like it's a corporation party. So these kids don't understand that they could have a more populist president, especially in things like foreign policy or criminal justice reform. But they're stuck in this we have to save everyone mentality that Bernie Sanders is pushing. And he pushes that because he's always had an issue with getting minority voters out for him. He does not poll well with them. And he knows that if he abandons the social justice warrior stuff, they're not going to vote for him in the primary. And he had a very similar situation in 2016 where those voters went for Hillary Clinton, even though a lot of white people who were very economic focused were going for Bernie Sanders in all ages.
Yeah. That's, one of the things that I, at least when I look at, I think back to my youth, and when it came to people that we wanted to see get elected in Congress or become the president, our youth time was not, we weren't wanting to see older people get those positions. We were wanting to see people that were, in their 30s, in their 40s get those positions. Today, Bernie has, I think the average age at any of his rallies are probably, 21, 22-year-olds.
Yeah,
and
it's a really good point.
It's interesting to see that. And then you go to a Trump rally and you have every age almost equally across there in massive amounts. Thank God. But so with your Twitter, with your YouTube, how do you feel what you're expressing and what you're talking about is being receptive? Are you having any pushback, or are you finding that the younger generation is listening to you and educating themselves with what you're explaining?
Well, I have, I would say, two groups of young conservatives that follow me. People who are more traditional, people who are what you would consider a conservative, pro-life, small business, reasonable restrictions on foreign policy, that kind of people. And then I have the more libertarian skewed young conservatives who are more lenient on social issues and follow me because I have good strategic advice. And of those two groups, I feel like my message of talking about things behind candidates, talking about how we can get people elected resonates really well. With young liberals that I talk to, one of the main things that I'm able to find a lot of common ground on is foreign policy. And you saw that in your interview. They don't want to be the policeman of the world. And I think that that's a topic that's really resonating. I discuss foreign policy a lot with young liberals, and they say to me, well, you know, even Elizabeth Warren, she's too much into that. We have to police everybody. We have to be everyone's babysitter. We like Trump on that. If Trump ran a little harder on foreign policy, I think he could sway away a lot of young people who are not necessarily social justice warriors, but are passionate, very, very passionate about making sure we're not in a lot of wars. And you mentioned Bernie Sanders. Why, if he's an old guy, does he have all these young people so actively excited about him? Because there's no strong enough, even 30-year-old in the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party, their young leaders, they don't have the ability to survive past whatever news or political cycle they're in. So there isn't anyone to go to. Bernie is the last chance because Elizabeth Warren is still too much establishment for them.
What do you think is going to happen when Bernie doesn't get selected? Because I'm pretty convinced that it's not going to happen.
Bernie. No. I think it depends on who it is. If it's Joe Biden, you're going to see an open revolt. And you're already seeing the op-eds from Democrat strategists. If you watch snippets of Young Turks, of those really deep shows, they talk about the fact that they're going to be very angry and the DNC is not going to listen. If you have Elizabeth Warren, and Elizabeth Warren is one of the people I want Trump to go up against the least, and this is why. She can make enough of Bernie's supporters comfortable with saying she's going to be far left enough for them. And she can also resonate enough with Iowa voters and New Hampshire voters because she's going to talk about stopping banks, but she's going to talk about it in a way that seems very moderate and seems very fighting for the little guy. I think if they pick Biden, if they pick Booker, if they pick Kamala Harris, it's not going to go well. But if they pick Elizabeth Warren, she could build a coalition that could be very deadly for Trump.
That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. I heard just today, actually, that she's, her chances are getting slimmer. What concerns me and a lot of those that subscribe to my program is that there's a possibility of seeing someone having to come out of the woods, let's say, to go up against Trump, enter this race that hasn't already done so, because the field that's there right now is collapsing on themselves. You know, I worry, I mean, what's your take on this, if Hillary jumps back in there, or my worst case scenario would be Michelle Obama?
Well, the thing with Hillary, and people don't always realize this, Hillary has had a very die-hard group of female supporters since 2008. It was Women for Hillary. She's had a group of women across this country that genuinely believe she should be president. There was a little bit of rebellion in 2008 against Obama when he was the nominee, feeling that he had taken it from Hillary. Hillary's support is in that group of people and establishment people who just need her to go in so they can continue with the rank and file stuff. She has no youth support. She was who they went for because they had to, but she's not somebody who should be heavily supported. I don't think she's up to being a presidential candidate. I'm not saying that because she's a woman. I'm saying that because I don't see what she runs on other than we hate Trump. And if you don't have the youth support, you can't do that. You can't just run on we hate Trump. Michelle Obama, I understand people are afraid of Michelle Obama, but I think people also have to understand that the Democrat field is running away from the Obamas right now. And there's a reason for that. They're running away from them because Barack Obama was not far left enough for them. There's a reason why you're hearing, I believe it was de Blasio criticize Obama. There's a reason why you're hearing that. It's because A lot of young activists, especially with Obama's recently woke comments, feel that Obama was not up to the standard that they should have had. He was not pushing enough severe gun restrictions or immigration restrictions. So Michelle Obama will carry the legacy of her husband, and that will not help her in the youth area.
What I love about talking to you is you educate me.
Yes.
and I need that. I really do. I have my kids that that have their own opinions, and we can discuss certain things with politics. But I always come away from, when I talk to you, of having a better grasp on what's happening with the youth vote. And, I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. You guys and girls are literally the future of America. You are the next leaders of America. Yeah. When I'm dead and gone, what am I leaving America to? Will my service to the country have been in vain? So I can't stress enough how we've got to continue to reach the young American voter and get them engaged and get them to understand, to stop listening to, not stop listening to the Democrats, but at least open their eyes and be able to listen and hear and fact check what Republicans and conservatives are saying. And I find too often that many of them, it's just, this is, my parents voted this way, so that's the way I'm going to vote, and that's the way my friends are voting, and they really don't have a grasp of not even the history of America. When I go into the schools and I talk to kids in high school, even in some colleges, I'm blown away at the information that they don't have. When they ask me afterwards, come up and say, what was Desert Storm?
I didn't learn about Desert Storm.
Tell me about that again. That's right. I remember you telling me that. You didn't even learn about that.
No.
And I think as we move on, more and more teachers are not going to want to talk about the Middle East wars because, it's racist, or it's, not politically correct. Yeah. So we bury stuff like that, which is, the worst thing we can do, because, we will repeat history all over again if we don't understand it and, educate ourselves on what our forefathers went through, to make, they gave, this, but the audience needs to understand this. Our forefathers gave us the greatest opportunities of any country on God's earth. And we today have a large percentage of Americans that don't have a clue about not only what they gave us and the sacrifices, but those that came after them and what they did for this country. So I commend you, and will continue to do so, for all the work that you're doing and reaching out there. Tell the audience again where they can follow you.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope at Mahgdalen Rose, Mahgdalen Rose. And you can especially follow me on Twitter. That's where I'm the most active, and live streams are always up at least twice a week. And you can also watch my show on Caravans Midnight every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Excellent. Folks, go check her out. She is the future of America. She might not want to be the president, but I do believe that one day she's going to be doing something really, really great, helping this country out. And what she's doing right now is amazing. And I thank you. My audience thanks you. And you're always welcome on our show. You are a great American patriot.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. You have a blessed evening. Hello, American patriots. Listen, to bring you this content and the Douglas Ducote Show in the videos, there are only a few ways that this can be accomplished. Subscriptions, which in the future we will have, sponsors, and we've been blessed to have some wonderful conservative sponsors, donations, and we're grateful for all those that we get. Otherwise, you have to go to corporate sponsors. And corporate sponsors do what? Well, if you watch the big news networks, the big sponsors have you do what they want you to do, and they hold that money over you. That is something that we don't want to do here. We want to remain independent so that we can continue to bring you the truth about what's happening in America and not what some corporate sponsor wants us to tell you. It's all about being factual, getting the truth out there to you, the American people. Folks, your donations help us with all the things that we're already doing. For instance, when we go to the border, or we go from Brownsville, Texas, all the way to San Diego, California, that requires a lot of work, camera equipment and so forth, security, transportation. And between now and then, I'm going to be making some special smaller trips to the border to bring you information that is happening. And there's many other projects that we have as we move forward to 2020 and beyond, where we will do this as a team. I count on you to be a part of Team Ducote so that we can be independent and reach out to all Americans to show them the truth of what is happening. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all the donations that you're able to give.
Protect your guns and ammo from moisture, mildew, and rust. Use promo code OBC for free shipping on your next purchase. Made in America, by Americans, lifetime warranted. FirearmGuard.com.